For question 2, you are asked to find the volume of the figure in cubic units and clearly explain or show your reasoning. So as we look at this, this should look like one of the figures we used during class, where we actually took it apart. And Mrs. Plato herself recognized the mistake that she made during class today, because how we started, we were, I wanted people to tell me what the answers were they got. And I noticed that the answer I got wasn't one of them, and I thought, this is really strange. And then as we were talking, Mrs. Hoffman was like, oh, Mrs. Plato, when I looked at how I broke it apart, I didn't count my blocks right. So it's really easy to make simple mistakes, and simple mistakes will not knock it completely out of the park. You'll still get a decent score on the assessment if you make simple errors, because none of us are perfect. But if you don't know how to attack this at all, that's when the issue arises. So what we decided was we were going to take this and take off what I call the nose. And that's right here. Okay? Now, unfortunately, I don't have my magic to break this apart this time, but you can kind of see here is one part of the figure, and then there's a rectangular prism behind it. So you use whatever skills you have to figure out the volume of the rectangular prism behind here, and then you just add 4. Now, I was adding 3, not batting an eye, realizing, oh, there's 4 blocks there, Mrs. Plato. So I don't want you to feel bad if you make those kind of mistakes. We all do. Okay? So, right here represents a 4. Cool. Perfect. Beautiful. Now, back here is where some of us were like, yeah, well, I got this, I got this. What you want to notice is that we found it pretty easy to notice that here's one layer, right? And that layer was filled with 15 cubes. Okay? And because it had 15 cubes, we were like, okay, well, that helps. How many layers of 15 are there? Well, there's this one. There's this one. There's this one. And there's this one. So altogether there are 4 layers of 15. So I said, well, the way I think of it is this, and I think a couple people agreed with me. I know at least one person did. 15 plus 15, that's a double that most of us know. That's 30, right? So if this is 30 and you have another set of 15 plus 15, you got 30 plus 30. That equals 60, okay? So you can add these all up if you want to. It's not really too hard of an addition. But what you can also do is use some mental math strategies and maybe make things make sense a little bit more clearly. Ooh, I'm moving the wrong thing. A little bit more clearly if you can not clutter up your brain with having to add all of this 4 times. So, if this side comes out to be 60, this whole side, okay, once you add them all up, and this side is 4, then we come together, we take the 4, we add the 60, and we get 64. Then you hear Mrs. Plato in your head saying, 64 what? 64 cubic units. So I'm just going to type that out, but you know we've talked about other ways to write that too. Okay? So your final answer will be 64 cubic units, and this is a way to show your work. Okay? Now I'm going to go to the next page. I was scrolling, but I have to click. Sorry about that. Now, when you're looking at this next page, what you want to be careful of is not psyching yourself out. It looks exactly like number 1. But this time, there's no blocks. And this time also, we're dealing with the base and the height. So layers of centimeter cubes for a base. So this, if we wanted, say, this to be the base, this would be an 10 by 8 or 8 by 10, whatever you want to say, base. If we wanted this to be the base, it'd be an 8 by 5 base. Okay? So let's check these out and see if we can make them work. Some of them will, some of them won't. So the question that I had for people is, the biggest question you want to ask yourself is there anything I can multiply together to get some of these factors? So 10, is there anything that I can multiply together to get 10? I don't see anything, and we didn't see anything. We see the 10, but then there's not a 1 somewhere, so that doesn't help. Okay. Is there anything that we can do to get 40? Anything we can multiply, and this is where your factors are going to be important. You have your multiplication chart on your desk, you'll have access to a calculator, but you really have to know that, yes, 8 times 5 is 40, okay? So if this is the base, could it have a height of 10? Why, yes it does. Here's 10, so 10 times 40, this is the base, this is the height, will give you the volume of this particular rectangular prism. Okay? 10 layers. Now, let me get rid of some stuff. And again, on the actual test, I will give you several of these figures that you can use, so you don't have to erase. Okay? Now we're looking at 5 times 80. Can you multiply anything together to get 5? I see a 5, but there's not a 1 somewhere. Can you multiply anything together to get the 80? I think I can, and I think the class could too. They looked at this and they said, oh, right here. 10 and 8. So you could do that one, or please remember that anytime I highlight one face, the opposite face is the same area. So if you wanted to, you could take this and move it up here. Okay? It can be that one too. You are going to get the same answer. Because what's the same? The height, the repetition of that base. And that is 5. So you've got the 5. And you've got 8 times 10, which is 80. So yeah, we could use that expression. Absolutely. So let's get rid of some of this and look at C. 13 times 10. We already said in A, I can't do anything to make the 10. There's nothing there I can put together like 10 times 1. Okay? How about 13? Can we multiply to get 13? Well, no, because 13 is a prime number. 13, you can only multiply 13 by 1 to get 13. So this one, not an option. Okay? C, you're going away. All right. Next one, same process. Can you multiply anything together to get the 8? I don't see it. I don't see anything. I don't see a 1. Can you multiply anything together to get the 50? We decided, yes, you can. You can multiply 5 and 10. It's like, where is that you can multiply 5 and 10? Well, here's the height of 5, right? Here's the length of 10. It could be this front panel, or it could be the back one, but make your life easy. Try to make it the front one. The back one's kind of hard to conceptualize, okay? So, we have 50 here, and it's almost like it's on its side. If this is the base, then its height is 8. Base times height, okay? Now, we looked at 5 times 18. Could we make 5? Well, we said in B that we could not. Get this out of here so I don't confuse you. Can we multiply anything to get 18? We really can't. So for that one, we also say, nah. So the expressions that will work here are A, B, and D. Remember, when they say select all the expressions that represent a way to fill the rectangular prism with layers of centimeter cubes for the base, what they're saying is there's more than one in this list. Okay?